Also, I'm gonna open our painting so we can keep yapping, but I'm gonna start work on this. If it had not been summer, I feel like it would not have been as bad as it was. But um it was summer and it was really hot and it was hotter even upstairs, but that's where Toasty's room is. And that's kind of where they had to isolate because the downstairs is where like our bathroom and our kitchen is. So obviously I needed access to those while I was like functioning and living. And so having 104-degree fever in a room that is hot is not a vibe by any means. They were struggling. Um, so that was definitely like the toughest part was like the heat situation and the fever. But we made it through. Little ramble, but my eczema has been so bad on my hands lately, but just my hands. I finally figured out why they changed what chemicals are in my city water, and since then it's been awful. And I wash my hands a ton with our water rip. They're supposed to be changing the chemicals back, so manifest soon with the hand eczema. Oh man, that's tough. I just recently got diagnosed with eczema, actually. That was what they said was on my elbows. I think I had told you all that I developed like a really random rash in January of this year on my elbows. But it's been getting better with the meds that they gave me. Hello, Harry. Welcome in. Thank you for letting us know what you prefer to be called in your pronouns, friend. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing okay today. How are you? How are you? A little bit hectic. We got in late last night. We didn't get home until about 9 p.m. And we were so knackered from everything that I was in bed and asleep by, I would say, like 11. And so a lot of the stuff I usually do to prepare for the week um, at night got done in the morning. So I just had like less time, but doing okay otherwise. Y'all can't really see this color I'm doing. I'm so sorry. It's like an incredibly light blue. Um, but when I get into some of the other colors, you'll be able to see it better. Ooh. I put a little bit of a thick spot in the edge where I should not have, trying to recover from my mistakes. Oh, sorry, friend. We're on PNG right now because it can't comprehend what, like, my actual VTuber model can't comprehend what to do um when my head is facing down like this to paint. So my apologies. If any of the mods could give Kathea their points back, that would be awesome. But I don't have mod view open right now. It was hard balancing us three, all with staggered work times, plus two of us sharing a bathroom, but also balancing the animals and them wanting to be with their people, but also not wanting the animals to get sick and having to eat. It was such a time. Real, real. Real. We also have a shared bathroom and a shared kitchen, so I did occasionally have to like bring up food to them and like pass by, but we just masked, and apparently that was enough at the time. Just working, perfect. Yeah, we have a lot of folks who like to work and lurk here, so enjoy, enjoy. It's nice to meet you. It flew away in a balloon. Oh no. It's Animal Crossing and you missed him. Points were delivered back. Thank you, friend. Thank you, thank you. We will be on our VTuber model hopefully for the rest of this week though, which will be nice to be back. It's funny too because I know Soup is a big Animal Crossing fan. We're gonna be playing Animal Crossing before our other games for the rest of this week after today's stream, which I'm excited about. Not tomorrow because tomorrow we're co-working, but um, Wednesday and Friday. I played a lot this weekend. I'm almost to the point of getting KK Slider. I have 9 villagers. They're not all villagers I want to keep. There will definitely be some villager hunting occurring. but I might need help with getting some Nook Mile tickets when that time comes. There's far too many pink villagers on my island for my personal taste. Aggressively pink as well. Hello, my love. Whoop. Junie. Oh boy. Hold on. This. Run, villagers. Well, not that kind of hunting. But fair. Thankfully.
I turned off their 1 p.m. snack-o.
Oh,
because
yes.
They're gonna get regular lunch.
She's trying to get lunch now.
She definitely wants lunch now, and I'm here to give it to her because
It's not even 1 p.m. yet, though.
it's 10 minutes from being 1.
Alright.
Because I choose
Peace.
to be productive and have peace.
Fair enough.
How is the tall?
For like half a second, I thought your hoodie was Junie on the back of your neck. It was not the case, but
what's with these little broken meows, huh? You're that hungry. She said that. Don't make fun of me. I turned off the feeders, and then I put a couple of things in the Amazon cart for review of purchase later.
Oh yeah, because they needed a couple of things, didn't they?
Yeah, because it's like $100, and so I figured we should just sit there and make sure that we agree that this is things that we need. Every single one of them is for the cats except for your sweet and sour sauce. Because
You are expensive.
I have the other cat food dispenser because I figured instead of buying batteries, I could just buy the one that plugs in.
I think that makes sense
it as well, and it also allows me to like edit it on the app and stuff like that, which is nice.
Em has the brain cell right now.
Emily.
Oh, this is my partner. Yeah.
Hello.
You can do exclamation point.
I can say hi.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh. I'm dead.
And yeah, I have their hairball paste, their dental powder.
Oh yes, all the maintenance goodies.
I have more catnip, and I discovered that the place that I was going to order the catnip from, the golf fruit catnip, of course.
Of course, because we have picky bitches.
Is the same place that made the fishes.
Oh.
That big is obsessed.
That makes a lot of sense, I'm going to be honest.
A lot of sense. So I did put for review a $7 set of 3 rope toys.
Oh.
Because somebody really likes stick time, and something tells me that maybe a rope with catnip attached to it would be something that one of these 2 bitches will like it. I don't know which one based off of how obsessed they are with fish, but.
Do we need to get new feel away things?
That's why I also did not order it yet, because I knew that you were going to think of things that I didn't.
Yeah, I think that they're pretty much empty.
Yeah.
On those. I'm not sure if those are doing anything, if I'm being 100% honest, but.
I don't know, he seems pretty relaxed.
In theory.
You don't seem very relaxed.
Toasty has way too much fun dipping their head under the camera. Any excuse, frankly.
What do you mean? Any excuse? Hey.
You do it all the time.
Well, only when you have Craft Cam on.
Yes. Correct.
How else am I to do it?
That's the opportunity. And that's you taking the opportunity.
A dispenser of random knowledge, real. And head hooligan.
That's true. They do have a lot of random knowledge.
What? I like to spend my time watching random documentaries. It's like, why did the BP 2011 oil spill happen? You'll never believe it. It's capitalism again.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm gonna get cats.
Okay.
We did not discuss our lunchy plans.
We did not. I didn't quite expect you before 1 p.m. I'm not gonna lie.
So, you want me to wait the 9 minutes and come back?
No, but you've been having us have lunch at 2:30, my love. So you can see why I was a little confused when you
This
came
is-
down at 12:45.
This is very real. Unfortunately,
Junie
do-
has decided that it's lunchtime.
well, there's the Junie of it all. I also have a meeting at 2 and at 3, and I figured you probably didn't want lunch at 4.
No, that wouldn't be ideal, I think,
I
for
don't think it would
both
really
of
be
us.
lunch anymore at that point. So if you want to do like a fend for yourself when you're hungry lunch, that's fine. I just wanted to give you the opportunity of while I'm here.
No, it's fine. My point was just that I hadn't thought about it because it was far earlier than I expected to think about it.
Want your ears rubbed? Is that what you wanted?
We did eat most of these things already, unfortunately.
My God. You're gonna make it. I can make you some chicken sammies. We did kind of have chicken sammies for dinner last night, but you know, we're in a survival area right now
Because we gotta order groceries
we're gonna
tomorrow.
order groceries tonight for tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're driving me bonkies.
That's fine. It just takes that off the table for dinner, so I guess that's the only thing to think about.
For the chicken sammies?
Yeah.
I could do you already had breakfast for breakfast. Fair enough. So if you want a breakfast for dinner, that's also fine. If we're trying to plan it out that kind of way.
We could also have leftovers for either of those 2 meals.
We had smushed chicken before we left, and I know that that's fine. I know that there are 2 left over.
I think I also have curry left over.
Yeah, I could do a curry.
Do you want to do you prefer to do leftovers for lunch or dinner? Junie says, I don't care, just pick one.
She says, stop figuring it out and just feed me.
Truly.
Probably for lunch then. Leftovers for lunch.
Okay, then I'll take the curry.
Curry it is. Oh my gosh. Do you want me to warm up your curry for you now? Or would you like to warm up your
No,
curry?
I'll warm it up a little bit later since that's quite easy.
Alright. Figuroni has abandoned cat cam.
Well, he just wants lunch too. As per.
Okay. Chat room.
That was such a long.
You are in charge of making sure that B actually eats.
Well,
only so much duck can occur.
I would. You're not in charge. That's a lot of responsibility for them, but you could remind me if need be.
Chat, you're in charge of reminding B if necessary.
I love you.
I love you.
Good luck with your meetings.
Do you want lunch? I can't.
You want, you don't have to close it, but. Also, if I missed any messages in there that were for me, definitely just repeat them because I was overstimulated by the Junie, the conversation, and all of it happening at the same time that I definitely did not catch all that was happening in chat at that moment. I feel like you can kind of see the blue, but you have to look for it. It just looks tiny bit gray to y'all, I feel like. I've tried very hard to get this camera situation to pick up the colors better, and I've not had a lot of luck. I will not lie to yous. I don't remember what I was talking about before Toasty came in either. Distraction. I think at some point too, I'll show you all today it occurred to me because M came in before stream started and was like, oh my god, the stream offline image is so cute. It occurred to me that a lot of you probably have not seen the stream offline image that Sai did. They did one of those too, because not all of you come to my page when we're offline. So probably on one of our breaks, I will show you all what that looks like too. Sai and I are actually discussing what perhaps upgrade we could do to the just chatting screen in particular, because he looks a little blank compared to everything else. So if you all have, there's not any pressure for you all to come up with anything, but if you all have thoughts, creative thoughts that you desire to share, I am open sesame. They were very sweet and reached out and were like, if there's anything that you want to change after, now that you've been using them for a while. I was like, you're so sweet. Oh, thank you, Soup. Thank you, thank you. And tomorrow during co-working, I will add a command for the VTuber model. I will do it. Because I have one for the scenes and the PNG tuber, so I need to add one for the VTuber. The 2D model. It is on the agenda. The agenda. I made a whole list. Oh, my mouse has been acting up lately, and I'm annoyed because I don't want to buy another one because this is my second mouse in like 2 to 3 years now, which I don't know, maybe that's normal, but I feel like people usually have their mice for longer. And I don't know if it's because it's a vertical mouse. I don't know if I do something specifically that causes them to like break down faster, or if it's just like a quality issue. I use 2 different brands though. That's the odd thing. And the click on the main left button is just like, I have to click it like 3 times sometimes to get it to actually fully register, which is obviously not ideal. And I'm like, hey, why are you doing that? You're only like a year or something old. And you cost me $70. Which I feel like is kind of spendy for a mouse, but it's a vertical mouse, so I was like, okay, fine, I will pay it. But why you stop working? It's like one of those things where like I feel like, at least for me, I don't know about y'all, but I was always taught growing up that sometimes it was like worth spending the extra money at the beginning or whatever, like at the like I don't know what the phrase is, but like in the beginning spending the money to get the nicer thing because then it'll last longer versus having to buy a bunch of them. And like I do agree with that, even though sometimes it's not always the most accessible advice if you don't have the larger amount of money to spend in the first place. But I do understand what they're trying to say. But nowadays I feel like I'll spend the extra money in hopes to get that higher quality to have it last longer, and I'm spending the extra money and it's still not lasting longer. And I'm like, hey. It's even worse on camera than it is in person. But I do feel like this yellow they used is much more neon than the yellow in the image to me. I feel like on camera they look like they match, but in person I feel like it looks quite different. And I'm like, why'd you use such a bright yellow? The mouse had standard warranty or anything? Oh, yeah, maybe. I feel like for warranties, a lot of time you have to, like, have filled them out when you bought it, though, and I'm kind of bad at that kind of stuff. I definitely did not if I had to. But it's worth looking into, at least. Yeah, the planned obsolescence of it all. That is why I became a Samsung human when it came to phones. Pre-learning about the Congo stuff, too. So obviously now I wouldn't buy an iPhone anyways, knowing what is going on. Not that all technology contributes to it, but Apple phones are, or Apple in general is a pretty big contributor, worse than some of the other ones. So, anyways, besides the point, I became a Samsung girly because I got sick of the planned obsolescence of Apple and how my phone would just stop working every time they released a new phone conveniently for them. All of a sudden, oh wow, my battery's not working anymore. Interesting timing. Meanwhile, I've had my Samsung phone for like 8 years and it still works. Sometimes I don't actually, knock on wood, because I don't have the money, and my phone is on my mom's account, and that's just like a whole ordeal dealing with her. But sometimes I'm like, could you break? Because I kind of do want a new phone because it's been 8 years. But I don't actually want that. It's just kind of a silly thought my brain has sometimes. Mm. I wish they made the numbers on Paint by Numbers lighter. I know that that would make it a little harder to see, so I understand why they don't, accessibility wise. But then they use these like pastel colors, and it's like one layer of paint is kind of not enough layer of paint to cover the numbers. And doing a whole second layer on a complex painting like this is just like a lot. No worries, Em. No worries. All the homies hate planned obsolescence. Hi, Mika. Mika, you're so close to 100 happy flaps. I feel like I said that last time too, but it's still very exciting. Hi, Luna. Oh, yay. Yes, Kenda is our very, very talented VTuber artist. We don't have our 2D model that she made on right now because we're painting, but very exciting. It's nice to meet you, Luna. Welcome on in. Three more streams. You might be able to do it this week, if not next week. Oh, sorry, dropped my ice pack. Oh, I should also turn our little seaweed back on while the cat cam's off. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Y'all are more than welcome to use the task list, by the way. I just took it off because nobody was really using it last time, and it does kind of cover part of the screen. So Bucket list things you've already done or want to do. Oh gosh. So many, but also I've had to like not to get too deep because it's a very sweet question. But I've had to really temper my goal setting. I used to be like a big goal setter. Like I love to journal, and in that I would love to like set out goals and stuff like that. And I'm kind of relearning realistically what are like achievable goals for me to have now that I have like chronic illness and like disability definitely has reshaped what will be possible for me, unfortunately. Um so many and also none at the same time in a weird way. Hello Raiders. Hi friends. Hi Bandit. Hi King Dad. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Who did I miss? And Fern, of course. Of course, of course. How was your stream, lovely? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna talk very quickly. We do have an ad coming in 20 seconds, and he's been snoozed as many times as he can, so I think you all are gonna get hit by that ad. I'm so sorry. But welcome on in. We're doing some painting. My name is B. It's lovely to meet you. Feel free to use the ad to take a little break, get a stretch in, take some meds, hydrate, and let us know what you were up to if you want. But welcome on in. Thank you for the raid. Thank you, thank you. Oh, the timing. The timing of it all. Oh gosh. That actually I forgot to tell you all. I will go back to Soup's question about the what's it called? Uh what's the phrase? Bucket list items. But added to the chaos of yesterday because we got the nor'easter. And one of the things we were thinking about doing was staying until Monday if it made sense. But then I had messed up my med box and I didn't have the meds I would have needed to be there on Monday. So that added to the chaos of it all. And also the bridge that we had to cross over got shut down for half the day and we weren't sure if it was going to reopen. So there was many added chaos features. We were painting too. Keyboard covered by art supplies. Hard to type, no worries. No worries. Please take care of yourself, friend. I'm glad y'all had a good time painting. I would love to know what you were painting, but again, don't feel any obligation if the typing is hard. But yeah, welcome, welcome. So before we had our little raid, we were asked a lovely question by Soup. Soup was asking if folks have any bucket list items. And I was saying how yes, but also I've had to learn to like tamper my expectations of what is going to be doable in my lifetime because of like chronic illness and stuff. But I would say some of my biggest ones definitely travel. I have had the privilege of traveling a somewhat bit about like within the US because I was in a program when I was in high school that helps prepare you for college. And every year we would go on one trip outside of our state to visit a college outside of our state. And we would also like do, I dropped my ice pack again. Ay, ay, ay. We would also do like typical like touristy stuff while we were there. So I visited quite a few states. I haven't been able to really see the West Coast much. But yeah. But I really, really want to travel outside of the United States. I want to see, I know life outside of the United States is very different, and I know it's very different from what they teach us, but I want to experience it myself. Um, but I have to get a visa or like like a visa and a passport and stuff first. So, but that's something. Although that's been made tricky, obviously, by our current administration, and also disability makes travel hard and it's expensive. But it's bucket list, so it's on there. Um, Having a baby, I really want to have a kiddo. With my body, I think realistically, unless we foster or adopt or do a surrogate or something like that, I think realistically I'm only going to be able to get pregnant once, and even then I think pregnancy really runs the risk of making my baseline worse, which I'm really nervous about. But I would really like to have a baby and be a mom or a parent. Um, what else? I would love to get my master's degree one day, but I really want to be confident in what I would get it in. And right now, I still have a lot of questions. So it's definitely not the time, but I would love to one day, if possible. I would love to get my driver's license and get that situated so that I could have a little more independence in that way. Yeah, those are some of the bigger ones. Just want to make sure I get my bachelor's degree. To be honest, I've never really thought about bucket list things. That's super valid. Some people prefer to focus more on there is validity to both perspectives when it comes to goal setting and stuff like that, where some people prefer to focus more on the given moment and be in the present and not worry too much about what the future holds. And others like to kind of use goal setting and stuff as manifestation to kind of have a better assurance that they're working towards the things that they want as they go ahead. And I think the best thing, honestly, is a balance between the two. Because when I was younger, I was always looking ahead, I was always focused on what's next, what's my next achievement, what's my next goal, what's my next thing. And that kind of took the fun and the specialness out of what I was doing in that given moment. And simultaneously, I think not thinking about it at all can kind of put you in a spot where it's hard to achieve those goals because you're not then taking steps towards them. So it's definitely a balancing act, in my opinion, a moderation kind of thing. I'm very much a beginner, so nowhere near the talent display. Oh, to be fair, this is a paint by number. This is a paint by number. Don't compare yourself to this for sure. But I was making a custom thank you cards for workers, making my house disability accessible to me. They treated me and my family amazingly, and they're giving me the freedom to leave the house when I want after almost a year of being trapped here. So I wanted to show that their efforts were the most appreciated ever. Fern, I'm super excited for you that they were able to do that work, and that's really kind of you to make them homemade cards. I love that. I would also like to travel at some point. Apparently, I will be traveling to the West Coast next year because of all the weddings. But yeah, West Coast, Greece, Ireland, Iceland are all on my list. I want to have a baby one day and be a parent. Yeah. Yeah. My dream places to visit. I'd love to visit Ireland, Scotland area. Um, one of my best friends in college was from Edinburgh. I'd love to visit there. That is in that area. I would love to visit South Africa because also one of my friends in college was from there and showed me lots of places from her home that were really beautiful. I mean, I'm happy to honestly visit anywhere, but yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and I do relate to that, Puppo. I'm also in the boat where I don't always know how achievable these things are going to be given what we're dealing with. It's intimidating the idea of trying to travel. Um, being I have the privilege, I will acknowledge, of being someone who appears to the given eye to just be like a AFAB feminine person. So I can definitely have that advantage or privilege. It comes with downsides too, right? Because I'm not often acknowledged as my true self, but obviously in our given political climate, it is a privilege. However, having such a public social media platform where I acknowledge my transness, I get intimidated that they would perhaps see that. Same with disability stuff. I feel like my disabilities are very invisible. So, in a way, that's like an advantage to me, a privilege for me that I could potentially travel or even move and they wouldn't necessarily know, except if they look at my social media. And it's hard to know if they would do that or not, you know? Norway. Oh, I would love to see Norway too. I would love to see Norway and Finland because my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side are 100% Finnish and 100% Norwegian. So I'm a quarter of both. And my grandma actually has family still alive in Finland that she's visited before. So that would be really cool. The art is a fairy stepping out of the darkness and into a beautiful forest because wings represent the freedom and the forest are my favorite place. It symbolizes a step towards freedom for me and a step closer to the life I want to live. I put a lot of thought in, which I hope makes up for the beginner's talent. It does. It does, Fern, 100%. Yeah, no worries. Enjoy your arting time. I'd love to visit my super distant family in Greece one day if I could. My grandma, who passed, and my aunt made the trip. Got to visit the little village we're originally from, but it's tough with COVID. They would very much want to feed us and dine with us. I wonder if, like, having everyone tested before the dining would be. I know it's still a stretch, but perhaps a feasible kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I uh, I would love to travel. I would love to have a kiddo. I'm kind of intimidated because I would sort of like to have a kiddo soon, but it's such a scary world to be pregnant in, let alone bring a kiddo into. And I just don't know how my body's gonna do with pregnancy. I don't even know if I'm gonna have much luck with the getting pregnant process because I have so many gynecological conditions. Um, let alone the impact it's gonna have on like my chronic pain and stuff like that and fatigue. I feel like I'm gonna be I don't really know how it's gonna work because I feel like I'm literally not gonna be able to do anything for 9 months. And I say I don't do much now, and that's true. I'm very like very slow living type of person given like my health, but I feel like even like basic stuff like streaming or cleaning a little bit would be difficult in a status of pregnancy for me and my body. So, and then also, we would have to do some kind of IVF because obviously we don't have the parts necessary to make a baby without those tools. And that's really expensive. That's not like in our type of price range by any means, as a relatively close to a single income household. So I don't even really know how that's gonna work, you know? I don't know if Toast Parents would be willing to help us with something like that. I have no idea. Oh, that's awesome, Puppo. I did a little bit of traveling in college too through different like programs that were available to me because I never went home for the smaller breaks, like spring break and stuff, because my home was just too far and my parents couldn't afford it. So I usually stayed at school. Um, and a lot of times there were like spring break, like uh, service trips you could go on. I didn't love how religious-y they were a lot of times. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times they were through like the interfaith organizations on campus. But the experiences themselves were really beautiful and like complicated because a lot of times when you're doing service work, obviously it involves someone else like going through something really hard. Um, and that can be heavy. Like we went to Puerto Rico after, I think it was Helene. Is that the right hurricane? I can't quite remember. That might be one more modern. I'm misremembering, but we went to Puerto Rico after one of the worst like hurricanes they had, and helped with like rebuilding and getting food to like isolated areas that didn't have access and stuff like that. Um, and it was such a beautiful place, and the people were so kind and welcoming, and like really, what's the phrase? They really liked like hosting and treating you like a guest, even though they were going through such a hard thing, which is like, obviously we were like, you do not have to give us your like your little drinks or things like that because you don't have much going on right now, but they were very sweet. Are you talking about the meow that you heard? That's actually Figgy. Figgy's become quite the little yeller. I have admittedly thought about getting pregnant, but mainly because so many doctors have advised me not to do it, which kind of sucks. Like, yeah, I do not want a kiddo right now, but the fact that I've been told by many professionals that I would not likely get through a pregnancy feels like a choice been taken away from me. I get that. I do understand. Planted all the trees. I love that. Yeah, you do want to get like, good, see if you can find um disability friendly providers, because there is a possibility that that is genuinely true and that it wouldn't be good for your body, but there is also a possibility of ableism playing a part in terms of like there's a lot of people in the world, even providers, who assume that disabled people should not or cannot have kids because they wouldn't be able to take care of them, which is just simply not always the case. It has helped me a lot to follow. um I try to follow a lot of disabled parents to see what adaptations they make and like what their journey is like and how they make it work and stuff like that. It's been very affirming to see like what my family situation could look like and what those conversations are entail and stuff like that. Um, Two I can think of off the top of my head that I enjoy. Jessica Kelgren Fozard. She's on YouTube and Instagram mostly. She is someone who has quite a few conditions. She has hearing loss and some stuff with her joints and migraines, and like she has a lot of comorbid conditions and experiences. And she had three babies with her wife, Claudia, and they are both very lovely. They're very sweet. Jessica is like a vintage, she likes to do like old school vintage dresses and like hair and stuff like that. And then it's cute because Claudia is like super athletic and casual. So they have a very, very different style, and it's amusing to see how they like blend their life together. Um, but yeah, they have a young boy. I think he's like 3, and then 2 twin daughters. Um, that they just had, so they're not even like a year old, which is very cute. Um, I also like Hannah Witten. She's kind of an old school YouTuber, was very involved in like the queer side of YouTube back in the day, and then transitioned into like sex ed work, but also recently transitioned out of that too, in addition to the queer stuff. It's not that she doesn't talk about those things anymore, it's just not her main niche anymore. Now she does lifestyle and content about being like a mom, and she has I think it's Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, maybe. I can't remember. She has some kind of GI condition that requires her to have a permanent stoma, and she talks about being a mom. And also, she talks a lot about she's trying to get pregnant again, and that has had a lot of complications for her as someone with multiple GI surgeries. So she talks about that too, and the struggles of that. So yeah, I like both of those. I know I follow a few more, but that's just what I remember off the top of my head. Yeah, the one thing that makes me nervous is just like messing up my baseline if I were to get pregnant, but also obviously I do have some part of the reason I push so hard to seek out a diagnosis and not just have my doctors maintenance my symptoms is if I do have something like a genetic condition, I would like to have the full gambit of information. I didn't even know you were still down here. Hi, Kendler.
They have some energy.
Yeah, he's been yelling. I do not think he's gonna lay down right now, my love. He has way too much energy for that right now. I would like to have like the full range of knowledge, even if it doesn't mean that I change my mind in terms of having the kiddo, even knowing that they could potentially get whatever I have, but just so that I can like be prepared to guide them through that process and like know what to look for and check for them, because I don't think a life with a disability is like inherently bad or unworthy, but I don't want them to live as much life as I did without having answers and knowledge to have supports for the condition. We have help rehab a little koala, which was rewarding and adorable. I'm still getting updates on some of the trees and the endangered birds we planted them for, but I think it has to be seeing the bird that allegedly not migrated to the region in 70 plus years, just seeing so many people be so hype that this ongoing project to reintroduce them had finally happened and we got to help start the next leg was so good. Yes, that would be fun. I have some old pics of my Puerto Rico trip too. OG B from many years ago. At the time when we first were going on the trip, they told us they were like, because of the state of the island, you probably aren't going to have access to um, safe shower and drinking water. And they were like, we can get you, like bottled water for drinking purposes and for like brushing your teeth and stuff like that, but you might not be able to shower while you're here because that's just like a lot of water for them to try to get access to. And so I went into this trip fully prepared with like special shower wipes and stuff like that. But it turned out to be fine. They actually did have showers at the site that we were at when we got there. I feel like my parents were able to help me so much with my foot limb difference because my mom's brother has the same issue with his hand. Of course, there are differences, but help prepare my mom for things like explaining my foot, bullies growing up for me. Exactly. And there are like, depending on your condition, obviously, it's very different for everybody, but there are like interventions sometimes with certain conditions that you can do that are most effective when done young. So, like, that's a big thing for me too, is like, if I have the information to be able to provide my kid. And of course, we'll talk to any kid that we have about like, if something doesn't feel right in your body, let us know. We will listen to you. We will get you the help that you need. Like, I did not have that experience growing up, and I would definitely want to provide that for my kid. Like, I was always made to seem like I was, oh, just wait until you're older. Oh, aches and pains are normal. Oh, it's because you carry that heavy backpack. Like, all these different responses that weren't very good. Obviously, no matter if I know the condition or situation with my kid or not, I will be a better listener to them, but I'd like to have more specific support for them and information as well. The ideal situation for us to be able to have a kiddo would be if we knew someone in person who had the opposite parts and could mosey baby style have a baby, because that's much more in our price range. I know that's what Couple of Goofs did, but I don't know too many people with the necessary the necessary baby gravy, as we say with 100 Baby Challenge. Um, and also, obviously, it would have to be someone that we're very comfortable with and is willing to like sign paperwork, and that process could be hefty. So we'll see. Oh, Shake, thank you so much, friend. We don't have the 2D VTuber on right now because we're painting and it wouldn't be able to track my face, but we got the little PNG tuber version out. Oh, yeah. Also, hi, Golden. We did too, actually, when we got there. When we got to Puerto Rico on the first day, um, they we were all like pumped and ready to do like manual labor, and we were like, yeah, let's go, let's get started. And they were like, actually, here in Puerto Rico, because it's such a like religious space, that Sundays like people wouldn't want you to like come to their house, and like even if you are helping, they wouldn't want that. Now, do I know how true that is? Do I feel like that's perhaps a little sus given the conditions they were in? Yes, but we were not in charge. So we spent that very first Sunday doing some like touristy things and seeing parts of the island that had already been rebuilt, which was cool. All right, we're doing this very vibrant read now, so y'all will definitely be able to see this one. Um, actually don't think there's much of this color in this painting. Real. We were actually served really good food while we were there, which was very surprising. We were very ready and willing to rough it, but they had hired someone locally to cook us meals, and we were all like a little sus. We were like, wait, um, they're like going through a really hard time right now. Should you be asking them to like cook for us? And the hosts were like, it's actually very helpful because a lot of them really need money and jobs right now, and there isn't many right now with how the island is. So any opportunity to like get some work, and I was like, okay. Not ideal, obviously, that they had to worry about capitalism during a tragedy, but also very common experience, unfortunately. You know, people don't just like stop asking money for your water and electricity and rent and stuff. Do I think they probably should during times like that? Yes, but unfortunately, that's not usually true. There was actually, I saw this on TikTok, which it's really kind of depressing that half the time I feel like I get my main news from TikTok because mainstream media is like not reporting on everything. But considering it's Indigenous Peoples Day, I think it's important to share what I had learned, which was really recently. I'm talking last few days. Alaska was hit by, I think they said it was a typhoon. Don't quote me on the exact cause, but there's like massive major flooding. There are missing unaccounted for folks. And I will try to find something for our action item list when I update it tomorrow. But for now, I'm just sharing like what I learned so that y'all can be like knowledgeable and look into it on your own if you want to know more. But yeah, it's hitting the communities there really hard. A lot of their houses were like taken basically in the flooding and are like floating downstream, and some of them are floating with like their people in them. It's like very serious, and it's predominantly affecting the indigenous communities there. And because Trump has really significantly reduced things like FEMA and currently has our um, military in cities that they don't need to be in to just harass and intimidate citizens in blue areas, they don't have access to nearly as many resources as they should for a situation like this. And so the communities are having to do a lot of their own rebuilding, which I know is kind of true in a lot of situations like this. But, indigenous populations are already hit so hard, and Alaska and Hawaii are already like forgotten about a lot when it comes to US politics and like the policies and stuff like that. So I think it's important for us to keep our eyes on and contribute where we can. Demon, enjoy your time with the brain cell, my friend. If you're not familiar, it's just a little silly joke that we have that we all share one brain cell in the community. So once an hour, we pass him around like he's a class pet, and you get to have access to the brain cell for whatever productivity you might need him for. And then you have to return him to the next person, unless the bot says you're really lucky and gives it to you twice in a row. But I'm going to be honest, I think that's only happened once, other than him giving it to other bots twice in a row. Because he has bot favoritism with the brain cell. But yeah, something to be aware of, something to throw on your radar. And if you have the capacity to give and support to those families and stuff like that, then of course, please do. Especially on a day like today where, quite a few of us get the day off and stuff from work because of Indigenous Peoples Day. I know, it's brutal, Luna. I'm presuming because there's such a lack of access to resources right now with FEMA being cut and like the military being busy that they don't want us to know. Also, often when the community is predominantly BIPOC, so like in this case, predominantly Indigenous, they don't care as much. Also, because Trump is creating horrors left and right all of the time, it is also genuinely hard for medias to keep up with everything. Not that that's an excuse, it's their job, but it is true. So, I think those are big parts in it, but it still should not be the case. All right, I actually think that's all the 9s, shockingly. Oh, wait, there's one more. I see it. I think this is the one that was weirdly split, and I kind of covered it, though, unfortunately. Um, I don't see where it is. Oh, it's right here. Okay. I think I can fix this, though. I do think this color will cover the yellow. And also, to be honest with what you were mentioning specifically, I feel like the US is never too good at telling history outside of our own country. We love to misrepresent things in our favor, and especially something like a revolution, especially any successful revolutions, they don't want us to know about that. They're trying to run a dictatorship. That would not benefit them if we knew how to successfully do a revolution. So, then they don't want to do it. Alright, gamers. Since I'm between colors and this next color, the 10, has a lot, I am going to take a lunch break. I shouldn't be gone super long, but I will leave y'all with some enrichment, some words on stream. Take this opportunity to stretch, take some meds, hydrate, get some food yourself if you need to. Just check in with yourself, take care of yourself. And I'll leave you with some words and I'll be right back. Burba. I don't really know if y'all got stuck or if there was just a hard level, but I'm already back, so hi. I just had a very basic um curry, so I was chilling. Oh, you all were wait, no, I have to go back. Hold on. I need to see. I need visuals of what you all were saying. I'm nosy. The goldfish on the desk. Tag yourself. I'm the notebook on the floor. The mushroom on the shelf above the computer. Here, I'll also close the so you can have better visuals. Mushroom on the shelf above the computer. Fun fact, some of the stuff that is behind the computer is actually stuff that I have in my real life house. That's a real life mushroom plushie that I own. That caterpillar is also a plushie that I own. The little star is a little plushie that I own. Or not a plushie, art piece, I guess. Little things. Little things like that. Actually based around my real life computer. Fun fact. Wide-eyed little seal fish that looks concerned even though I'm reasonably sure he's never had a thought. Wait, I need to find the seal fish. Where is he? Hoomst. Wide eye. Oh, the one above the computer. I like that one. I like that one a lot. It's your turn. Hi, Leo. Hi, friends. Hi, Beth. Ooh, who would I be? I like the little black fish to the right of my character above the moon with the little dot, what looks like kind of little dot bubbles and sparkles around him with his little eyeball. He's pretty cute. I like him, Picasso. All right, I'll go back where we have captions, but I enjoyed the thoughts. I'm also going to crack open my window a little bit. 1 second. There you go. Toasty always says I'm wild for opening the window, but I get so warm during stream because we have like light on and my computer gets warm. It's me when I'm grumpy for work. I'm also just such a fresh air guy, I'm not gonna lie. I love fresh air no matter what the season. If I can get fresh air, I will. Oh my gosh, wait, this color? I can barely see this color, so there's literally no way that y'all are gonna be able to see this color. Rip. It's okay. You know, it'll all come together. We're here for the yabs. I'll try not to. I don't even know what this trend is about, so if it's questionable, let me know, but I feel appropriate to say the lion does not concern themselves with whether chat can see the color or not. They just vibe and have good time with chat. Yes, often I would rather have 3 sweaters on with the wind. I am that way too, Soup. Me too, but Toasty's like the exact opposite. They get cold really easy. They like sweater on at all times, still cold, even with sweater. And I am in a t-shirt and somehow sweating. But I have bad like heat intolerance. That could be disability related. I don't know if it is. It could just be that I'm plus size as well. I feel like a lot of plus size people don't do super good with heat. And also like temperature regulation is a known like autism struggle, so I'm not that surprised, but Toasty and I started watching Celebrity Traders UK. I don't know if anybody's watching this season, but it's been very good so far. I was extremely excited to discover that my favorite character or my favorite person was going to be one of the traders. It's like, I am thriving. Yes, I'm the exact same. I like my environment cold so I can make myself warm and cozy. Yes, cold relief, except not in the morning because it hurts. I know, disability is very picky. It's hosted still by Claudia, which is the traditional UK host. It's just all celebrities, which the US has done, but the UK has never done. So it's like actors, actresses, singers, politicians, sport people, etc. No, I got a spray of water, of green water on my blue section. Rip. Hopefully I can fix that later. Maybe I need to have my drying paper on the same side as my water so it doesn't have to travel over the painting to prevent this in the future. See if that helps. Oh, yay! Thank you for the pronoun party, my friend. My pronouns are they, them. If you feel comfortable and willing to share your pronouns in chat, please do. If you don't feel comfortable for any reason, you do not have to. Exclamation point extension will teach you how to add your pronouns next to your name in chat, but it does do it in every stream that you're in, so just make sure that that's something that you're comfortable with. I also honestly just find houses in general like stuffy. I just like breeze. Honestly, even if it kind of makes me too cold, I like breeze. I need the fresh air. Because I don't get to leave my house that much, so. Junie's considering laying down on my bed, but I'm not gonna go shuffle the cat cam until she chooses to settle. Right now, I'm not convinced that she's gonna stay. I need a bigger brush. It's like these segments are small, but this color is so light that I think I can be a little loosier-goosier with it. Oh, she got in the bed. Okay, hold on. Hi, Lexi. Thank you all for sharing, friends. I think they, she is our most common pronoun in this community. Let's see, maybe I don't have to move the camera actually. Maybe a little. She is doing bath time, so you know, that always entails a risk of too much booty on stream. That I cannot control. I also love like the first moment where you go from a cold place to a hot place. Like when it's too cold inside and you get in a hot car. Ooh, interesting. I actually kind of hate that. But I respect that you like it. I do understand. It's just too dramatic of a transition for me, and my body does not know what to do with temperature regulation in moments like that. So they're not my personal fave. But I do get you. It bath time, indeed. She loves a good post-lunch bath and nap combo. Well, usually there's a little bit of zoomies first that have to occur. And then we'll go from there. It's like eat, poop, zoomies, bath, nap. That's the traditional Junie schedule. Very toddler-esque. Hello, Crafty. Welcome on in. Welcome, welcome. I don't even know what the point of this color is. It's so light. Even I can barely see it in person. It is like the lightest green ever. It's basically cream color, like off-white. But there's actually so much of it, so I'm like, oh boy. Oh boy. Y'all, I really hope my blood work on Thursday actually shows something. And I know, to people who are not chronically ill, I know my chronically ill baddies get this, but like, I know it's weird to wish for bad results, but I know my body is busted. And if there were bad results, it would so help me get into the rheumatologist, which I would really like. So I would like my blood work to show what is happening internally to the external world. Por favor. Because also my doctor only, like insurance wise, seems to be able to only have me do bloods, like testing like that once a year. And I'm like, okay, please. It's October slide. Capture the problem, please. Fingers crossed. But we'll see. I have no idea. I really do not know. Hi, Nocturnal. Welcome on in. I'm also getting one test done that I've never had done before, which I'm intrigued by. She wants me to have testing done to see if I have celiac, which is... Oh, I missed that little segment. Which is an intolerance to gluten. I don't think so, personally. I have the most reaction, or like most noticeable to me reaction from my body when I have things that cause flare-ups to my acid reflux. So that will be like citrusy things, red sauce, stuff like that. And then when I have like dairy products. And also I think I am lactose intolerant. But my PCP seemed flabbergasted and confused and told me to tell the GI when I told her that when I take 3 lactates before trying to eat something with lactose in it, that it doesn't do anything. She was like, tell your GI that. That's weird. And I was like, okay. Interesting. I didn't think that was that unusual. I just thought that, perhaps I'm really lactose intolerant. I also have issues with acid reflux, very annoying. I was tested for celiac as well. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to take any test that might give me more information. It hasn't been what I've noticed in my, like, pattern I kind of try to pay attention to how my body responds to different things. I've been trying to like work on making my diet like more. I don't like dieting in general, especially for like weight loss purposes or anything like that, but I have been trying to work on making my diet more friendly to my tummy issues so I can suffer less, which I think makes a lot of sense, but is also very intimidating at times when it comes to um, just changing what you're used to. I've kind of been trying to find things that are like a lot more light on my stomach. So, like things like fish. I also was recommended to try to introduce more natural fiber into my diet. So, I've been trying to add more like lentils and like not celiac, quinoa. But I grew up in the Midwest, and if you like low income, very low income in the Midwest, the food that we eat is like the polar opposite of what is turning out to be good for me and my tummy. So it's like very intimidating because a lot of the recipes I know, we ate very heavy where I'm from. We ate like casseroles, meatloaf, um, soups, meat, a lot of red meat, especially beef. And it's turning out that I need to eat like a lot more fish, chicken, like light stuff. And I just don't know like how to cook those things, the flavor palettes, the seasoning, all of that. So it can be very intimidating to shift, but we are trying to take it very slowly. I try to introduce at least one meal per week that has some of that stuff in it for dinners. And I'm hoping as we build up sort of a repertoire, I think that's the correct word. I don't know if I used the word correctly, of like recipes that we don't mind. Then we can introduce maybe like two. The reason we can only do like one at a time is because like cost wise, if we don't wind up liking it, it's tough to have two meals in a week that don't work. And also just like, both Toasty and I are neurodivergent, so we struggle with like food shifts. Food shifts are hard. We have a lot of our own safe foods and stuff. Toasty's a very plain eater, so all of this new stuff is a lot. um, so we try to just introduce, if it's a repeat meal, it's fine, but if it's a brand new meal, we try to only do one of something we haven't tried before. Hi, Nicole. I feel like the terrible diet culture has overshadowed all the wonderful and fulfilling parts about being mindful about what you put in your body. Yeah. Yes. I think because like a lot of people have such misconceptions about that kind of stuff that they fall susceptible to what are actually like weight loss diet trends, and they sometimes don't even know it. They think that they're working on like improving how they're eating. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to listen to my body and what he reacts to positively and what he reacts to negatively. And right now, he is just not happy with heavier meals. It's tricky though, because I try to balance that with the fact that I'm a very hangry guy in general. I am a Taurus. I love food. I love flavors. And I'm also a gardener, and I don't mean of the flower variety. And so with that um, comes something they call the munchies, as you would. And if I don't make sure that I feel like full, my munchies will be more intense. And so sometimes balancing the fact that my tummy does better with the lighter stuff, and then the fact that that doesn't always keep you as full as long. I have to work on my snack consumption too, because sometimes I will basically undo the work I did to keep my tummy happy by eating not so good snacks that my tummy does not like. My heart likes, and I do think it's also important to incorporate foods that maybe your tummy doesn't always like, but your heart likes. And I do try to do that. But that's like a balancing act because the more you do that, obviously, the more upset tummy you have to deal with. So we're figuring it out because I want things to be light but filling. And I think I had learned growing up unintentionally that the heavy feeling that comes with those heavier meals is what means you're full. And I don't think that that is actually true. But now when I eat lighter meals, sometimes my brain is like, "Oh, but not full actually." And I'm like, "No, I think you are." I think you're just used to that really heavy feeling after you eat. So, there's lots of weird unlearning and relearning we're doing very, very slowly, so it's not too overwhelming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a nutritionist when I was in college as well, and she helped me with a lot of things. And I really liked her attitude about stuff. Like, she was asking me, "What do you usually eat?" And when I was in college, I was really bad about eating breakfast. And she was like, "Girly pop, I need you to eat breakfast. Your body needs some fuel when you first wake up." And she was like, "We are going to talk a lot about, you know, getting the appropriate amount of nutrients and stuff like that." But she was like, "If it comes down to no breakfast or a breakfast you're avoiding because you think it's unhealthy," she was like, "Eat the breakfast." She was like, "I don't care if it's cookies or a Pop Tart or an Eggo, a toaster strudel." She was like, "Are those things the best for you?" No, not necessarily. But are they better for you than having no breakfast and your body trying to fuel off of nothing in the morning till 2 p.m.? Also, yes. I was like, okay, heard. Heard, understood. And that really helped me get the habit of eating breakfast. And then I was able to work up from that habit to eating better breakfasts, more um, high quality breakfasts. Also, leaving college. College was a very hard place to fit in breakfast in a very good way, living on campus and stuff like that. Yes, especially for that like morning time when you first wake up. Your body just like really needs something to work with to form energy so that you don't feel like exhausted and crash during the day. Oh, truly. At one point my college schedule was so busy that I had classes so back to back on one of the semesters where my classes went back to back from like I think it was like 11 a.m. to I think it was like 6 p.m. I think I had an evening class as well. And I forget who I was talking to at the time. It might have been my RHA advisor. And I forget how it came up or anything like that. But we basically discovered that I had no time in my schedule to eat lunch. Like, there was literally only 10 minutes between classes. Our campus was big, and I couldn't eat out every day. I wasn't on that kind of a budget. And so I just like didn't have time to utilize my own meal plan. because it wasn't fast enough to be able to go all the way to the dining hall, pick out food, put it in a thing, um, and bring it to the class. So we worked with um, the campus like food place, one of the dining halls, the one that I typically went to, and they actually started setting up a pre-made little bag meal that I could just come in, ask a worker, they had it in the fridge, they would hand it to me, and I would go and I would take that bag with me to my class, which was very sweet of them. Um, Obviously, the downside was I didn't get to pick my own meals, so they were pretty plain. They were usually just like little sandwich, little fruit, little side, but it was certainly better than nothing for sure. And very much appreciated the extra effort that they went through to make sure that I had something to eat for lunch each day on those Tuesdays and Thursdays. Honestly, looking back at it, I'm kind of surprised that the scheduling system allowed students to put classes so back to back that they wouldn't be able to have a meal. I'm not even going to lie to you. Feel like that should probably at least require like an override from an advisor who has like a conversation with you to make sure like do you have a plan for how you're going to make this work? Because it's just like one of those things similar to how like our university had like certain days where the library would not be open 24 hours um, because historically there was problems with students in the past who would like become unwell because they would literally stay up days and days in a row. And so college campuses had to learn to like make sure that the libraries were sometimes closed. So students would theoretically be forced to take breaks. Now, do I think a lot of times they just move to a different location? Unfortunately, yes. But that is like a whole bigger conversation about the way we overwork college students and the way we as a society in general kind of hype up overworking ourselves. So, that's a whole different thing, honestly. I think I got all the 10s. There was a lot of them. Oh my god, I know. I know the architecture students. I don't know what it was like on your campus's chat room in terms of what the worst degree programs were for um like the wellness of the students and the expectations. We at our school, I feel like architecture was the worst. The way I would talk to architecture students who would just be up like and working on architecture projects till like the wee hours of the morning, like every single night. And I think part of it for them was that a lot of their projects they could only work on campus in these labs. They couldn't work on them at home or the library. You know, you could like prep some of that at home or in the library, but in terms of like actually doing it, not me immediately finding a 10 after I just closed the 10. Arg. It's okay. I'll use a different brush. It's like a section. This is what happens to me with paint by numbers sometimes is that I get distracted or I go to redo my brush and then I don't remember exactly what piece I was working on and I find part of a piece painted and part of it not painted. And I'm like, oh, okay. They love to put lectures and training and canteen food time in my university, so we sometimes only have half an hour to get food and eat it. Yeah, I feel like that's really common. Juilliard students go from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day with maybe an hour break if they're lucky. It's wild. It's such an unhealthy expectation to set, and not to mention the fact that I feel like although the real world is quite hectic, I don't think that most jobs would have you required to do something like that. So, like, what are we realistically preparing the students for? That's what I need to know, because what is the point? Like, it's just never that serious. Most of the time, the stuff you're doing on campus. I can only think of a few careers where it's really, oh shoot, that was supposed to be 12 and I did 11. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. I do that sometimes. Um, okay, but you gotta remember, you're looking for 11s, not 12s. Um, like, and not saying that these careers by any means shouldn't also get rest time. They absolutely should. Everybody should. But I can understand like medical school being very hard. Why? Because somebody's life is going to be in your hands. And that's kind of a whole different ballgame, you know? But in most degrees, nobody's life is going to be in your hands. It's just not that serious where we need to break our college students. I remember one time, now this is also because I have pretty severe anxiety and perfectionism and stuff that I need to work through as well, but I remember one time I was like being so overworked in college. I wasn't sleeping well enough. I just I wasn't in the best state of mind with all of it. And I had a class, and it was a once a week class. You only went once a week, but it was for like 3 hours. It was from like 6 to 9 p.m. And I got to class, and people started talking. And in the talking about what was due and what people had read and what they hadn't read, I realized that I had done the wrong assignment. I had done the assignment, I think, for like next week. That was not the assignment and reading that was due for this week. And literally, like, it's not even like my professor was going to be mean about it. Like, she was a really nice lady. But I panicked so bad in that moment that, like, she could see the panic in my eyes, and she, like, pulled me out in the hallway. And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm, like, crying. I'm like, I did the wrong assignment, and da da da. And I felt bad because, like, it was, like, because we only meet once a week and it's a small class, I think my anxiety was just that I was gonna get like called out to like answer something, but I hadn't like read the materials because of my mistake. That was something I always had anxiety about in college, was like, even when I did read the materials, I don't have the best memory. I'm not always the best retainer. I have thus since learned that that is very likely part of the fibromyalgia diagnosis I have. Even if it's not fibro, I feel like it probably has something to do with chronic illness stuff that I have not very good memory considering like my age and whatnot. But I got really intimidated, and my social anxiety would get really bad when it came to um, getting called out and not knowing the answer and not having read the materials. Even when sometimes I had read the materials and I just didn't know if I was going to remember what I had read. But I just think that, like, she was super nice about it. She, like, basically told me to go home. And I was like, wait, but we only have class, like, once a week. What do you mean go home? And she was like, you are unwell, child. Not that I was a kid then, I was in college, but she was like, this one single class is not that important, even if it only happens once a week. Please go home. Please breathe. And I did refuse to go home at the time, but I did go take a break. I went and got like a smoothie at the local place, went back to my dorm, picked up something I had left there, I think, as that was like part of the assignment or something. Um, and like took a walk and took a breather and came back like 40 minutes later. Um, I was doing a lot better, which was good. But I just like my whole point in bringing up this story is just to say, like, I feel like we put our college students in such a rough mindset. I don't think I would be so reactionary to situations like that. I don't think my anxiety would have been that bad. I don't really think that, like, that was a logical response. I think that was like being overworked, undersleeping, like asked to do too much, and never like resting properly, which I feel like is super common in college, you know. And some of it was like my own, nonsense. I switched degree programs, I think 3 or 4 times when I was in college. And so, in order to finish my degree in time, because I was very adamant about not paying for a whole nother semester because Syracuse was incredibly expensive, um, was to basically take 18 credit semesters, which is like the most you can take without approval. And so most of my semesters were pretty heavy. And then also, I was in the English and education program, and both of those required a lot of reading. And I'm a good reader in terms of like comprehension, but I am a very slow reader. And the amount that they expect you to read and the pace they expect you to read and retain in college was just like a lot for my personal brain. I'm not even sure if it's that. I feel like it's just carelessness on their part. There are some other campuses that have designed a designed free hour every day, which is good, but why not everywhere? I don't know if you follow Frankie Doodle Dandy on IG or anything, but sometimes I wish I'd gone to college closer to this time of my life. I watch her going to school now and actually having fun and being curious, and I'm like, damn, that looks so nice. I'm glad she still gets to have that experience now. Yeah, I think I do follow them but on TikTok, not on Instagram, but I do think they cross post a lot of their stuff. So I think I do know who you're talking about. Um, because they also just went back to school, so I'm assuming it's the same person. But I don't know if I would feel that way going to school now. Um, I love that that's how they feel. I'm very happy for them. I think the thing that's challenging about the idea of going to school later in life, although I do like that you know yourself better, because I do think a lot of kids go to college at 18 and they don't even really know what they want. And so then it becomes a little bit of a financial waste sometimes if they're pursuing something that like doesn't align later on. So in that sense, yes. But in the sense of like I don't know, like stress levels, I feel like what's hard about going to university later in life is you then often have like much more serious obligations that you have to account time for in addition to school. And I do think that would be a lot. I think that would be hard, personally. Like when I was in college, I didn't have to worry really about rent because I lived on campus. Now, some people did. So maybe that's also just like a difference in experience because I know you lived off campus for a while as well. But like, I didn't really have to worry about rent. I didn't have kids. I didn't have pets. I didn't have a partner at the time. Like, I was very much able to just do college and do college alone. And I think when you do college later in life, you have to figure out how to fit that in with everything. Like I know my mom is in college right now and she's almost 50, which I am, even though me and my mom have our tiffs, I am proud of her for being brave enough to pursue something at 50 like that or like at just under 50. That's really cool. But she has to fit it in with her work hours, having a husband, having grandkids, and I don't know how she does that all and like balances all out. But I do get what you mean. The pros of it are definitely that you're much more knowledgeable about yourself and what you want, and like I think you know more about how you like to learn too. Like theoretically you would know some of that from high school, but high school and college are just so different that I think that when you get a bit older, you have a better understanding of your brain and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I think I would have had much more realistic expectations of myself. Looking around at my fellow classmates, like basically nobody was finishing all of the reading, and I was like one of the only ones like forcing myself to stay up super late to try to do all of the readings and have all of this information. And I think it was because I we've talked about this before, but I've always struggled with um uh like I'm a slow reader, and I've always struggled with information retention as well. Um and I've always struggled with skim reading. I think a lot of college students really rely on skimming and picking out the important bits. I have that neurodivergent problem where everything seems important, and that was really detrimental to my like doing the homework, doing the readings, like my note taking. Like I was that student who like you're taking notes, but you're just kind of writing everything down, which really does nothing for you. I mean, it did help me remember things more sometimes to write it down, but you're not supposed to write down everything. You're really not. Um, you're supposed to pick out what's the most important. But yeah, highlights the whole page, literally. I, whoa, the wind is winding. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Probably not, but it just whooshed by my window. Oh my gosh. Um, what was I just didn't have the most like grounded, realistic understanding of college and like grades. Like my fellow classmates were definitely smarter than me about things like, okay, I have this assignment. I'm looking at the assignment like thing syllabus for the whole semester, and I'm seeing that this assignment is only worth like a teeny tiny percentage of my grade. I am then thus not going to put in a huge amount of effort into this particular assignment if I don't have the bandwidth to do so, if I'm stressed, overworked, whatever. I unfortunately had the problem of trying to treat every single assignment as if it was equally as important, and that's just not true. um, and I had a really hard time letting that go, even kind of after I learned it. It was a tough one for me to actually put into practice. Like, you could sometimes in college even skip a whole assignment and still do absolutely fine in terms of your grade in the course. And I just like could not conceptualize that and like prioritizing my health in that way. If I had gone to college right out of high school, it would have kind of been money down the drain because I had no idea what I wanted to study, but now I also have rent and a job. So, yeah, the pros and cons, right? It's tricky. I talked to a lot of students about this particular topic. That was like probably the number one topic that my students would like ask me their like my opinion on and like sit me down and be like, please assist, was students who were like juniors and they were getting close to um, that time to start applying for colleges. And again, I worked at a college prep program, so the aspiration was to get them into college. And they would sit me down and they'd be like, B, I'm stressed. And I'd be like, okay, what's up? What are we stressed about? What's going on? And they'd be like, I'm very stressed because I'm supposed to be applying to colleges soon, and I don't even know what I want to study. And so I don't even know how to decide which college to consider if I don't know what to study. Because, like, yes, on one hand, you do get your first like year, especially where you don't really have to specify a degree. You really can just do gen eds and sort of explore what you like. You can really get away with even getting into like sophomore year, I think. It's like mid sophomore year that you really kind of have to pin down like your major and what you want to study fully. It also depends on credit requirements at your particular school too. Some might have more or less flexibility. But at the same time, for instance, the mistake that I made, I don't even know if I would say it was a mistake, but it was a complication. I don't know how you'd phrase it, but like I picked my university based off of what was the best university. What university had the best program for what I wanted to study. Because at the time, I was very, very convinced that journalism was the program for me. Well, that all felt a bit silly. I still really like the school I went to. I have no regrets. I think that in a weird way, the universe brought me where I needed to be, even if it didn't quite wind up making a whole lot of sense in the end, logistically. But I went to this school that was like top 5 in the nation for journalism, only to then decide that I didn't want to study journalism anymore. So then I was at this school that was like relatively expensive to be at, unless the only way it's like really, like in my mind at the time, obviously everyone's different. In my mind at the time, it was only worth it because I was getting this like first class, like I don't even know how you describe it, but like really high quality journalism degree and connections and opportunities and learning. But then that's not what I wound up doing. And so in hindsight, it's a bit goofy because I wound up studying education. And now, granted, I don't really use my education degree anyway for lots of complicated reasons, but like, I could have been paid to go to school instead of garnering a bunch of debt. I had friends who studied similar programs who had similar, I mean, I had a not I'm not trying to brag, but I had a very high GPA, a lot of clubs. Like I was definitely set to be able to have really good scholarships when I went to college. And I did that on purpose because I was trying to get out of my very shitty situation at home. And if I had known I was going to study education, I absolutely could have went to a much cheaper school, especially because you don't get paid much to work in education. So it's not like I'm going to get my money back from like when I get into the field if I were to have gotten into the field. So I always just reassured the kids that like you don't have to pick your university based off of the degree program. If you have a few degree programs in mind of things that you're interested in, just make sure that university has all of those. So, like, I had a kiddo who was like, okay, I have a couple of different interests, but I'm not entirely sure which one I want to pursue as a career versus which one I want to keep as a hobby, which was such a real like struggle because she was like, I do art. I really like art. I do think I have the passion level to potentially pursue art as a career and the skill level, but do I want to monetize my art or do I want to keep it as a hobby? I'm like, I don't know. And she was like, I also really like baking and cooking and would be thrilled to go to like a baking school. But again, should I just pursue baking and cooking as a hobby or as my career? And I think she had a couple of other ones too, or whatever. And I was like, just make sure whatever university you go to like has opportunities for those different things that you're interested in. That way you have that flexibility to switch degree programs if you need. But also there's always transferring and there's lots of options for people. It's not as strict as people think it is. Also, a lot of times you don't necessarily need the degree of that specific thing to even get a job in it if you change your mind later. That's not true to all jobs. Obviously, you're not going to become a nurse without a nursing degree. Unless you're that random lady in Florida who pretended to be a nurse for like 3 years or something obscene and never got caught and helped patients before someone finally figured out that they had somehow. Anyways, that's a whole different thing. Hi, Elise. Welcome in. How are you? Let's see. I think that's technically supposed to be 11, but that's okay. Good morning. No worries, friend. I hope you're doing all right. Welcome on in. Happy Monday. So far, it's been one of our chiller Mondays in this house. Mondays tend to be very chaotic with Toasty's work and stuff like that. Now, granted, they just went into 2 meetings, so we'll have to see if they come out on the other side still seemingly calm and in a good mood. But for now, knock on wood, things seem all right. Yeah, sometimes you just have to honor that. I get that. That happened to me the other day. I turned off my alarm very like subconsciously. I didn't even fully process it, I don't think. My brain was so nope that I think I turned it off without even fully waking up. My brain was like, that sound needs to go away. And then I was supposed to get up at 9 when that happened. And I did not wake up again until 10:15. So then I had to run upstairs and be like, oh my gosh, Toasty, it's 10:15. I'm so sorry. They technically have their own alarm, and they never put that pressure on me to make sure they're awake, but they aren't someone who wakes up easily. They really struggle. So although they would never blame me for sure, they would take responsibility for it. I do try to go help them wake up because I know it's like a big struggle for them with their ADHD to wake up in the morning. And so I ran up there and I was like, Busty, we gotta get up, my love. We are late. Not a doctor's day, I listened to it. Yeah, absolutely. As you should. I hope you're feeling better now that you got some sleep. An hour to wake up every day for the past week and it's been a struggle. It's been really interesting. I've had a lot of weird transitions and ups and downs with like my sleep this year. I went through, which is weird for me. If you know me, you know that I've historically always been someone who wakes up super easily. I have always been like a alarm goes off, shoot out of bed, like very much wake up first alarm. Max 1 snooze, but even then I a lot of times would get up before the snooze was even done. I'm also relatively an easy sleeper typically. I was someone who typically took naps every day pretty successfully because I have so much fatigue. So I would nap and I would also go to sleep at night pretty easily. And then in the last like 2 years, I've had a lot more trouble with falling asleep for sure. My naps have been significantly less successful. I spend a lot of my naps just kind of resting instead of actually sleeping. And lately, fearfully for me, I'm like, I've been having a lot more trouble actually getting myself out of bed, which I feel like I'm usually really good at. Hi, Raiders. Welcome in. Sorry, I was yapping. How was your stream? Lovely. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for welcoming them in, Soup. While my brain took time to get there. I have some days lately I'm waking up before my alarm, so I just get up, but then days like this where I sleep 3 hours more, and then some other days I have 3 to 4 hour nap unexpectedly. Something is up with my sleep. Listen, I don't know if you fit in the chronic illness community, but sometimes it's just reaction to the body figuring that stuff out, honestly. Hello, lovely. Welcome. Thank you for the raid. Welcome, welcome. If any of you are new here, by the way, and you don't know me, My name is B. I use they, them pronouns. I am a queer and disabled full-time cozy VTuber here on Twitch. We play a variety of cozy, sensory-friendly games. We also like to craft, co-work, color. If any of that sounds like your cup of tea, feel free to join us. If you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us what you like to be called, what pronouns you use, you are more than welcome to. And if you feel more comfortable lurking in the shadows, that's also completely fine. And if you need to raid and run, especially yourself, is it Leotheno? Theno? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. You can correct me if I am wrong, especially if you need to like go de-stream. Please do get some rest. But you're welcome to hang if you'd like. We're just doing a duck paint by number, and then we're going to be playing some Little Witch in the Woods later. So, yes, please get the kiddo to bed. No worries. Take care. Are you going to get a sleep test? You had a sleep test in 2023, so drastic change, so I'm wondering if I can get another. Probably. You probably just need to speak to your doctor about it to get the referral again. I do have a sleep study, actually. I think it's at the end of this month. I don't know if it's like one where I have to go in and try to sleep there, or if they're gonna send me home with stuff to put on. I'm kind of nervous because I am a extreme tosser and turner. I toss and turn so much that my bed shifts and that my sheets fall off. It was actually part of the reason Toasty and I decided that as a couple, even though we do enjoy snuggling a lot and we do snuggle and like watch movies in bed and stuff together, but that at night it's best for me to have my own space to sleep, is because I am a shuffler. I move a lot. And so I'm like, if they give me these like wires to put on, whether it's there or here, I'm like, are they gonna stay on? I feel like they're gonna give me trouble staying on. I don't know how that's gonna work exactly. Maybe they've maybe in the modern day they've made them more less like invasive, but I really don't know. I did have a bit of like insomnia earlier this year too, but I think that was like very directly related to some meds that I was on that was causing like extreme chronic pain at night. Um it was like really really bad pelvic pain to the point where it was keeping me awake. And as soon as I got off that med, I definitely went back to sleeping more like normal. There's still some oddities, but nothing like staying up till 5 in the morning like that was doing. So I really think that was a med thing and not necessarily like a sleep problem per se. Thank God I figured that out, because that was like the worst like 2 months. I did the EEG hooked up in their office, kind of felt like it was way too short. I'd do better with something they could send me home with to monitor what really happens when I'm asleep at home. That or the all come out to our observation suite for a week kind of study. Yeah, that's something else. Like, I'm kind of hoping I also get the home one, because I just like don't feel like I'm the type of person who can get comfortable in a strange space with like, I am autistic to the nth degree when it comes to my sleeping stuff. Ask Toasty, I've had the same blanket for years. I will get a different blanket to decorate that covers my blanket because my blanket's not even cute, but it's so comfortable. I had the same mattress for many years now. When I bought a new mattress, I bought the same mattress, just again. So when it comes to the idea of going to an office and being in a totally different bed, in a totally different environment, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna test my sleep very good. I really don't think that that is going to be all that useful, unfortunately. So fingers crossed. I also, according to Toasty, sleep very strangely though. And I don't even know if I'll be able to sleep in the position I sleep in if I'm in person. I sleep with my maybe Luna, I'm not sure. I sleep with my neck, like my shoulders. Okay, does anybody else sleep like this? I sleep with my shoulders up on my pillows along with my neck and head. So quite high up on my pillow. And Toasty always tells me how that's very strange. They sleep low where their neck is just underneath where the pillow starts. So like basically only their head is underneath it. Thank you for the follow, friend. Welcome on in. I don't know why I sleep like that. I just feel like almost like I need the shoulder support. I'm now like a side sleeper, which has been a big transition because my PT told me to stop sleeping on my stomach. And so I sleep on my sides, but the result of sleeping on my sides has been like I become more of a tosser and turner of flipping each side because my shoulders are one of my most troublesome areas for chronic pain, and so my shoulders get sore if I sleep on one side for too long. I have to like flip flop. Although, like, once I fall into a deep sleep, then sometimes, um, I'll fall asleep on one side and kind of stay there. But then sometimes I wake up with shoulder pain from that, so it's like the deep sleep is nice, but also comes with downfall. I feel like I kind of sleep like someone who sleeps on like a wedge pillow does, which I do know wedge pillows can be good for like sleeping like uplifted like that can be good for like acid reflux purposes, which I do have acid reflux, but I don't think that's why I sleep like that. It's just always been like kind of natural to me ever since I swapped from being a stomach sleeper. We're getting there, chat room. Look, the painting is almost done. Look at us go. It's been really nice mixing in some crafting with streams, honestly. I've been really enjoying. I like talking while I game too, like don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's hard with like especially certain games where there's like dialogue always to consistently talk, which I don't mind either. Sometimes it's nice for like, lurking background purposes. But it's also really enjoyable to spend a few hours. It kind of feels like the equivalent to when people do like just chatting streams for me, but it gives me something to do with my hands. I can't handle the pressure of being the only thing visually on the stream at all times and having to speak at all times. I feel like if you're just chatting, you have to like. Oh my gosh, hello. Sorry, I was yapping. Hi, Holly. Hi, Wingding. Hi, Abby. Hi, is it Jiller? Let me know if I'm saying that correctly. Welcome in. Smeagol, hello. Kelly, welcome in. Lil Boo, welcome in. Hi, friends. This is a vertical Logitech mouse. Not sponsored. Just owned because I needed a white vertical monitor. Or not monitor, mouse. Hi, Gwen. Hi, friends. Oh, my kitty cat has abandoned us at the first sound from her other dad. How was your stream, cutie? How was your little TikTok co-stream attempt? And how was your regular stream as well? I hope you're doing good. Could we get a shout out for Holly, please? Raiders, if you are new here and you don't know me, my name is B. I use they, them pronouns. I am a queer and disabled full-time VTuber here on Twitch. We play a lot of sensory-friendly cozy games, Animal Crossing, Sims, Stardew, Fields of Mystria, Little Witch in the Woods, things like that. And we also like to craft co-work, color, etc. So if you like just kind of cozy, like coexisting type spaces on the internet, feel free to join us. And if you need to raid and run, if you need to go rest, especially you, Holly, please do take care of yourselves. But welcome on in. We're painting a duck today. We're painting a duck today, and then we're going to be playing some more Little Witch in the Woods progression later as well. Schmeagol, thank you for the daily happy flap, and Gwen as well. You guys were playing a scary game over there. Much braver than I. I don't think I could do scary games. I like scary movies though, so I don't know, maybe. But scary games seem so immersive compared to scary movies. I feel like I would feel like I'm in it. And I don't know about that part. I did buy The Quarry last year, but I've never actually picked it up and played it. I'm gonna be honest. So, maybe one of these days. Probably not on stream. I think I need to assess if I even am a scary game person before I would ever try it on stream, but yeah. We are yapping and painting. Yapping and painting, yapping and painting. You kind of have to be all in to fully immerse. They definitely hit different to horror movies. Yeah, because with horror movies, part of like the thing is I don't get as scared because I'm like, oh, well, it's just a movie, right? And I know it's just a game as well. But something about being the one controlling the character, I don't know. I think I'd feel like I was actually in that scenario, which might make me poop my pants a little bit. Yeah, exactly, Luna. Exactly. I think that it'd be fun. Don't get me wrong. But I do think I would scream a lot, which I don't think I would call very sensory friendly. uh, makes me think that that would be a fun like subathon goal one day, to have like one day where we do a scary game stream, since it's something I've never done before. I'm intrigued. Oh yes, we do have a little ad. It's like being weird because on my side. Oh no, it already went. Okay. I don't know. The ad was being strange. Sorry about that, y'all. He was snoozed before you were coming in. So now he's stuck on go mode. Nothing I can do, unfortunately. Apologies. Toasties come down from their meeting, and Junie's heckling them like she's supposed to get second lunch or something. I'm like, girl, you already had lunch. What are you on about now? I had my curry, which was good. It's it was our first time trying this one. It was a lentil and chicken curry. It was good though. I liked it. Toasty was okay. You going to your next meeting? I'm okay.
Of eating.
Oh, okay. Toasty's so funny. I was heckling them about eating their cookies that they got because we'd had them for a few weeks, and every time I opened the cookies to have some, no more had been had from when I had them, and I was like, wait, you bought these, you have to eat them. I don't want to eat all your cookies. So they just came in the room with the cookies in their hand and said proof of eating that they were having some. And I was like, you're such a goofball. Such a goofball. The really nice thing about nature paint by numbers in particular is that they are kind of like grass and water and stuff like that is kind of like splotchy, for lack of a better term, anyway. So if you're not a perfect painter, it kind of all just like works. Anywho, you can't really tell, which is very convenient for my perfectionism. I don't have to worry about it all being super precise, thankfully. The accidental cookie eating happens in your house too. Listen, I just don't want the cookies to go bad. But now I have cookies in the house too, so I really haven't been eating their cookies anymore. I've been eating my cookies. All right, that's pretty good. Let's see. 3 o'clock. I could technically finish this. We are pretty far. And so there's like a temptation to finish it, but I think then we really wouldn't have enough time for our game. And also my neck is getting sore from looking down, so I shall be a good egg. I'm like such a completionist sometimes where it's like nice to have the task done, but we will do one more duck painting session on stream and then he shall be complete. But we made a ton of progress today. We went a little longer with painting than last time, so we really mostly just have the duck himself to finish. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. But that does mean I have to do a quick BRB to clean up the space and get our game set up. So stretch, take your meds, hydrate, take care of yourselves on this little BRB. I will put on some words for y'all. I don't think it'll be a very long words session, but just to give myself some time to clean up, and then I'll be right back and we'll play some Little Witch on the